and I'm the host of the show, and with me will be Gregory in a moment. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge, the light of truth, the Grail message by Uprushin. And every week we have a new topic to discuss. The topic for this evening is artificial intelligence and human creativity. Now, my colleague Gregory has just joined. Good evening, Gregory. How are you, and how is the weather where you are?
One is fine. It is bright and cool.
Bright and cool. Okay, same here in London. Sunny and a bit windy as well, actually. So welcome everybody to this spiritual discussion program. As I say, the topic we're going to be discussing tonight is artificial intelligence, AI for short, and human creativity. You're welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text or use WhatsApp, and if you're outside of UK it is 0044 79 39 641 958. You can call, text or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting, that is blessradio1, that's the number 1.com. If you scroll down on the home page, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. You can type in any questions or comments there. I'm going to begin with, what is the Grail message? The Grail message, in the light of truth, by Uprushin, is a spiritual knowledge of life. It offers an explanation of the world, a picture of creation on the basis of natural laws. Its lectures contain valuable basic elements as a help in life, for through the knowledge mediated, the reader is again brought closer to life and led back to God. The Grail message deals with important fundamental questions of life by explaining in a clear and logical way the automatic working of the laws of nature, the whole weaving of creation, allowing every process to be recognized, and thereby the purpose of our whole life. It is directed at the individual and speaks to the innate experiences of the human being, their strengths and weaknesses. Thus, every reader has the opportunity to discover through the intuitive perception if what is stated is the truth. Combining with matter-of-fact reasoning, a complete world picture arises, where there is no separation between the visible world and the great world beyond the five senses, nor any separation between scientific and religious striving for knowledge. I'd like to give you a couple of quotes from the author of the Grail message, Uprushin. The hearer and reader of my lectures should always work within himself, keenly probing and building bridges from one lecture to the other, as well as out into the great and small world happenings. Only then will he be able to understand the Grail message and find that it gradually shapes itself into one complete whole without leaving any gaps. Again and again, in all the happenings, the reader will come back to the basic features. He can explain everything without having to change even one single sentence. The word of the Grail message lives so that it permits only those people who really carry the honest desire in their souls to find abundantly. All else is automatically rejected by it. For the arrogant And those who seek superficially, the message will remain the book with 7 seals. And I want to give you one more quote from the author. I wish to fill the gaps which have so far always remained unanswered in the souls of men, and which never leave any serious thinker in peace if he earnestly seeks for the truth. So, dear listeners, just to remind you, the topic that we're discussing tonight is artificial intelligence and human creativity. Artificial intelligence, AI for short, and human creativity. If you wish to join us with any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1, that's the number 1.com. If you scroll down on the home page, you will see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. Gregory, as you know, we like to look at the meaning of the words in the topic, in the dictionary. So, of course, the first word we have is artificial. And I've got 2 meanings in the dictionary. The first one is made or produced by human beings rather than occurring naturally, especially as a copy of something natural. Yeah. Let me just repeat that one, Gregory. So this is the first meaning of the word artificial: made or produced by human beings rather than occurring naturally, especially as a copy of something natural. What do you say to this definition?
Well, thanks very much. The framework of our discussions on the context, basically that's of the laws of nature or the laws of creation. So whatever has been produced in accordance with the laws of creation or of nature, that is what one will use as the background, the reference point. In this particular case, that which the human personality has changed from its initial state, that in itself is also natural, because it doesn't violate the laws of nature. Therefore, when artificial is mentioned, its intrinsic meaning means not natural.
Right. So, yes, I mean, in fact, let me go to the second meaning immediately, Gregory, because that gives another angle to this word artificial. And that says insincere or affected. And they give an example of that. She gave an artificial smile. So there's what I'm seeing there, the second meaning, I know I'm jumping a little bit, but I'm just thinking this word artificial, there's sort of a hint behind it that something isn't quite natural. You were saying it there, artificial, insincere. So like this artificial smile, not a natural smile. So that one, so in one context, artificial appears to be unnatural. The other context, it says human made, made by human beings. So that is a neutral word. Human made is neutral, doesn't mean it's good or bad, or, you know. So Gregory, can we say yes? So do you want to respond to that? I just want to see.
Why one is silent is because the definitions which have been given so far does not address the core meaning of what artificiality is. Because when you now look at, say, human-made, there is the language which we speak. There is the air we breathe in which we have influenced through our activities by breathing in and breathing out. So when you have the human personality influencing that which is there, like you breathe in, you have some influence on what has come in and what goes out. What do we say to that air that is artificial? So you find that that which is referred to as artificial, the definition has not been well mapped out, but is being used again and again.
Thanks for that, Gregory. You know, we have said it many times in our shows before, we need to look at the context, and you're saying it there again here. When we use this word artificial, the context is we must look at it within these laws of nature, because everything operates within the laws of nature. And even if human being is creating, or not say creating, making something, yes, you can make it in, let's say, in accordance with natural laws, and that means it is natural, like you were saying. Or you can make it not in accordance with natural laws, then obviously it's not natural. So in a way you can see it like that. And then, but in majority of the way we see artificial, it has a negative context. Well, it can be taken as a negative context, let me say. It's not automatically like that, but you can, maybe that's why many of us lean to the negative side, artificial. It's not real, it's not natural. But it doesn't have to be. That's what you're pointing to. So the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills. What do you say on this one, Gregory? Is that a good definition there?
It's correct, and it's pointing in the right direction. That ability to acquire and apply knowledge. But what it hasn't told us is what acquires and what is it that also applies. That was not even discussed.
Okay, we will explore that further in the show, rather than go there now. Okay, let's look at the second meaning of intelligence in the dictionary. This is the collection of information of military or political value. Gregory, is that really relevant for our discussion?
Should just throw it out.
Exactly, because we are into the spiritual discussion, so I'm not worried about this one. Okay, let's forget that one. Let's continue. The next key word is human. I know we've had in our recent shows the word human quite a few times. A person, especially as distinguished from other animals or as representing the human species. So, Gregory, anything to say on this one?
It is very confusing. It's better to say you have an individual whose inner core is of spirit. That solves it all. Because this one that refers to Homo sapiens and all that, that means we have to clarify what Homo sapiens is.
Yes. And also it's referring really in a very materialistic way, or earthly way,
Correct.
rather than the spiritual way, which our show is all about. So anyway, we will go for, well, basically we know we are human, so I don't think there's much need to talk about more definition than that. The next one, at least at this point, the next one, word, is creativity. And in the dictionary, I've got this meaning: the use of imagination or original ideas to create something, inventiveness. How's this one, Gregory?
Again, that points along the right direction, because at least it talks about imagination, which imagination have their basis in one's thoughts. So that's a step further than just that which is perceptible externally. So it is helpful, but it's not complete.
Okay, okay. Again, we will explore that further later on. Now, as we know, I like to use the Google. Oh, do you want to say something, Gregory?
I was only clearing my throat, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yes. So basically, you know, I like to search for the whole name of the topic in Google AI, because it comes up, is better than just individual words in terms of coming up with something. It's like a discussion point. So that's why I like to do that. So here is what Google AI said about artificial intelligence and human creativity. It said, human creativity is characterized by originality, emotional depth, and the ability to synthesize diverse experiences, while AI creativity relies on algorithms and data to generate novel outputs. Greg, I'm going to stop there just for a moment. What do you want to say? Can you say something on that?
Well, that is, by definition, is precise enough.
Okay.
But the understanding is a different scenario altogether.
Okay, okay. Let's continue. There's a bit more on this. It says, humans can draw on vast range of experiences, emotions, and cultural nuances, allowing far more diverse and nuanced creative expression. AI, on the other hand, excels at processing information and identifying patterns, but its creativity is largely based on the data, and it is trained on, and the algorithm it follows. What do you say for this one, Gregory?
Again, is pointing basically along the same direction. One can personalities that formed these algorithms and combine this algorithm into AI. The reverse is not the case.
Right. Okay, so the originator is the human being.
Yes.
In this case, in the AI.
Yeah, it was the human, and they keep doing that because what they do is they collect information in a step-by-step manner, join them together, automate it, let it go ahead, and they keep improving on it, and they use data sets. So one can find the whole of so-called algorithms are dependent on what the human personality or the set of human personalities have chosen to be the core, depending on the data sets and how they bring in as many parameters as they are able to get. And that's what so-called AI is, nothing more than that.
Thank you. Now, Gregory, this when I do the research on this Google AI, it also says it gives you like a summary. That's what you've just read of the, let's say, difference between artificial intelligence and human creativity. It can also give you more detailed comparison, and it's almost like it goes for each top heading into more detail. So I would like to read that as well, because it's all very, how can I say, good point of discussion. I mean, this topic tonight, we can really go on forever. We could probably do 2, 3 shows on it if we wanted to, but we don't go that way really. We just want to touch on things. But here we go. So this one now, Gregory, talking about human creativity. It says originality. So that's like the heading, originality. Humans can create truly novel ideas and concepts, not just recombinations of existing information. And again, a little, yeah, so that is one bit. I think that one is obvious, really. So let me move on to the next one. It says emotional depth. Human creativity is often driven by emotions, personal experiences, and cultural context, adding depth and meaning to creative works. Gregory, what I'm noticing, there's some specific, each of this definition is giving something, how can I say, quite different. Let's say the output from a human being, creativity, compared to an output from artificial intelligence, which is, I know, also an output of human being, but when it works, what it produces, artificial intelligence, it is quite different compared to what a human being, let's say, is capable.
Of course it is. And at this point, it's good to elucidate some things very clearly. For the human individual, the experiences and the depths of thought and intuitions, the features which relate this is not only vision, but basically the 5 senses that the human personality has. The sense of taste, the sense of smell, the sense of vision. There are 5. The sense of touch. So these are 5 different categories. The depth of it is so much. Now ask yourself, when the so-called artificial intelligence is concerned, does it know the human taste? Does it know how the human being smells? All these factors have not been touched about at all. And the so-called artificial intelligence only take that which has been put into it and programmed in different types and see if this type do this, if this type do this. Search for this and keep it. Search for this and keep it. If he doesn't find it, nothing happens. And therefore you find that the scope or the complexity of human involvement is so very deep. And you then have that, for now, there are no algorithms for human taste. Neither are they algorithms for human smelling. So there's so many things which have not yet been discussed. So the notion that one will even dare to compare a tool which the human personality has produced here in the world of matter, one cannot compare that with the original experiences of the human personality. Because not only does the human personality experience in the world of gross matter, say here on Earth, it also gathers experiences in the world of non-gross matter, something which is above gross matter. And finally, experiences also come through the perception, through his intuitive perception, in a case that is able to experience that which lies in the spiritual. So, strictly speaking, there should be no basis for comparison in the human personalities, experiences, and that of the so-called artificial intelligence.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this points you have brought out on this, how can I say, what human beings' capabilities and or abilities and characteristics, maybe I should say. I know we're not really meant to compare as such, but we are at the moment, compared to artificial intelligence capabilities, or let's say scope. So the scope of the human being, let's say, it's so far ahead in terms of the variety and range, which is not only the world of matter, like you've said, gross matter, much more than this world of gross matter, while the artificial intelligence is operating in the world of gross matter. So really, but I'm wondering if people really know that. They so focus on their earthly life. So if something earthly is there, they're very keen on to use it or know about it. When it comes to something beyond this earthly life, I'm not too sure people are so keen to know or to understand. But here, being our show, being a spiritual discussion program, we do go into these, let's say, other levels of the human being. So thank you for that. Okay, I will continue again. I know it's a comparison, but let me continue. It says intuition and insight. Humans can have moments of creative insight that are not solely based on logical reasoning or data analysis. So, Gregory, that's another thing. The humans seem to have something beyond logical reasoning. Creative insight is called. Actually, they mentioned intuition, but as a headline, but they didn't talk about intuition. So, Gregory, yeah. So, is that another aspect you can say, which is, yeah, okay. I mean, this summary or detail is all very, how can I say, good, because it's covered a lot of points. That's what I like about it.
One very quick point.
Yes.
You also find that through human inventiveness or ingenuity, the individual is accountable because that individual has a free will. Do we hold AI accountable? That has not been the case.
Yes, very good point. Yes, if there was a court case of something happening, and let's say an AI program was involved in it, will you say, oh, it's the AI who made this fault, or is it the human?
Well, it falls back to the human. It is the human who put this algorithm together that are held responsible. So in that case, you cannot now start comparing the inventiveness of the human personality with the tool. AI is only a tool to deal with repetitive tasks because you want to get the information in the shortest possible time. So all the brouhaha about AI has basically no basis because you don't hold AI accountable, but you hold the human personality accountable for its activities.
Thank you. Let me continue. There's I don't know, let me see how many points have we got. Oh, it's quite a bit. Okay. I think I'm going to stop there. Uh, yes, dear listeners, you're listening to Bless Radio, and this is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message by Uprushing. If you wish to know more about the Grail message or want to get a copy of the Grail message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic that we're discussing tonight is artificial intelligence and human creativity. Artificial intelligence, short AI for AI, and human creativity. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting, that is blessradio1, the number 1.com. If you scroll down on the homepage, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. And we are also broadcasting on live on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1 again, space, Grail message, space, artificial intelligence and human creativity, which is the topic of our show. And then after the show, after 8 p.m., you can hear the recording of this show with exactly the same words on YouTube in the search box. Again, artificial intelligence. Sorry, I'll do that properly. So go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1, space, Grail message, space, artificial intelligence and human creativity. And of course, you can listen to our previous radio shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we're broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.fm/radio/Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1 there. Now, Gregory, I want to ask, the topic is saying artificial intelligence and human creativity. So let's look at what is intelligence. We've given a definition. In fact, you have answered this question, but maybe we can still look at it a bit more. So what is intelligence? Is it naturally built in, or can it be learned or developed?
One will say all of what you mentioned. For that which is referred to as intelligence, the ability to, in quotes, reflect and make decisions. A very simple example one may take is it is possible to use one's 5 senses to gather external information and pass it on to the human brain and make decisions from there. It is also possible to use the human it's also possible for the human spirit through its activities to pass impressions to the back brain and subsequently to the frontal brain. And when these decisions or these impressions are supposed to be made real in the world of matter, the brain also participates in making it into deeds. So from an outbound, which is that in which you collect information here in the world of matter, albeit here on Earth, and inbound, that means the impression from the human spirit. Intelligence can be sort of collated and a product can be put forward. That product being that it's more like a decision which the human personality wishes to pass across. So you will have that intelligence is comprehensive. It's not one-sided the way many consider it to be.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for this explanation. And what we are seeing from even earlier you've talked about, that this artificial intelligence is just one level or one aspect of activity. And yes, in the last year or so, or even a couple of years, whatever, when this artificial intelligence seems to have taken off now, and it's, you could say, exploding and expanding and growing exponentially almost. And then you're thinking, wow, this must be the best thing. It can do anything and everything. However, that's only it appears to be. And yes, it is doing quicker and faster than whatever we have done in the past. But is it everything? Well, if you reflect and see, really look at yourself and look at what we human beings have done, no, it's not. You know, even we say intelligence, but okay. Then, you know, because there's even, I can even go to this question maybe straight away. Can the artificial intelligence like surpass the human intelligence and maybe do things, I don't know if I want to use the word better, but more efficiently, and even that I won't even say perfectly, because humans are prone to error, while a computer or a machine, they follow a program and they don't deviate from the program. Yes, there can be some mechanical fault somewhere here or there once in a while, or you know, or a bug, as they say, there can be in the program, but they follow what how they're designed, while the human being seems to be able to deviate from I don't want to say program, but let's say it's not so perfect in that regard of doing, you know. So let's say you're meant to produce something, whatever it is, the human being can, let's say, be deficient sometime in that, while the machine, and that's why they will use machine to keep repeating the process over and over to produce something, you know, in a most, I don't want to use the word accurate, but in the, I don't know how to say it, in a efficient and effectively, you know, repeating that without making errors, let's call it, or very few errors, let me say, compared to human. So so my question is, Gregory, sorry to go all over the place, can the artificial intelligence sort of beat the human intelligence?
It is the human thoughts that produce the algorithms. It is the human thoughts that combine these algorithms. When you now have a combination of these algorithms, you now have, in quotes, AI. That is what AI is. So AI as such is a subset of the human ingenuineness in thoughts. If tomorrow the human personality produces different algorithms, it will then produce different results. That is from the level of the human thought. From the level of the human intuition, only when the human thoughts align with the human intuitions, only then can it be said, strictly speaking, that there is spirituality involved. So in that case, the scope of the experiencing is much, much larger than what you have in the case of artificial intelligence. So that discussion that the that AI can be more intelligent than its creator is inconsistent, for the very simple reason that it is the human personality that puts the algorithm there, which algorithms are of different types and very limited.
Thank you very much for that, Gregory. I've got another question. There's so many questions we can have on this topic, I must admit. Now, I remember there was a film a while ago, I think with Robin Williams, where he was acting as a robot in the character, and then he wanted to become like a human, having, well, basically to be classified as a human because he felt he could be just like a human. And one of the things we human beings agree we have is called consciousness. Now, before we go into that, I just want to quickly read the meaning of the word consciousness in the dictionary. And that is the two meanings there. The state of being aware and aware of and responsive to one's surroundings. So that is one meaning of consciousness. And how is that one, Gregory, just to say that?
Yes, it depends on the type of surroundings.
Okay.
But that state, that consciousness, most of that is referred, is associated with beings rather than machines.
Beings,
For
very good.
machines are only tools for sensing, but machines are not beings.
Right. In fact, you jumped the gun because I wanted to ask you, can artificial intelligence be consciousness? So, or become consciousness? So obviously you already answered the question. That doesn't happen, cannot happen. Okay. Yeah. Just the second meaning of the consciousness, I want to read it as well. A person's awareness or perception of something. So that's another level of part of consciousness.
Again, that is also correct. But the perception, there is in when one is considering consciousness, there are 5 senses for perception. So, with the human personality on earth, you have that the perception of sight, a tool is required for that. The perception of taste, another tool is required for that. So there are 5 different tools that the human personality uses when it is experiencing here on earth to gather information. And in doing that, brings all these things together to have a multi-dimensional picture. That which is referred to nowadays as so-called artificial intelligence, it doesn't go that far, because the human personality has only been able to write an algorithm for only one specific dimension, not 2 and or 3. So when consciousness is mentioned, these are referred, it's a reference to beings which wander from one place to the other, because they have an inner core which guides them to wander from one place to the other.
Thank you for that. What about thoughts, Gregory, and then consciousness? The thoughts are arising from consciousness, or because we know we have a brain and we have thoughts, and maybe people think, oh, the thoughts are coming from the brain, or is it not the brain but something like, because this consciousness, people might be wondering, where is this consciousness? And
strictly speaking, when consciousness is made and is referred to, one has to ask that question: what is this origin? What is it that is supposed to be conscious? And what are the features of consciousness as different from the tools which are used or which are manifest, or the tools which many use to manifest consciousness on a different plane? Very simply, you will find that which is referred to as being conscious is not the tool itself. Even the human body is a tool. With the 5 senses, these are also tools. Which tools package the impressions it has gathered externally and pass it on to its origin, be it an animal or a man. That is what happens. One would not look at a piece of paper and say, piece of paper is conscious. That would be out of the question. Or look at a pebble of stone, which one can take and shatter and say, oh, that it is conscious. However, that which is referred to as being conscious must be independent of location. And that which is independent of location, first are the animals, and also man, whose inner core is of spirit. Whose inner core is of spirit, that is able to use what the earth has produced for it, in this particular case, the human body, to experience. It is because many have not even considered what consciousness is and what is becoming, what is, what has the capability of becoming conscious. Many just assume, okay, it could be anything. No, it is not anything, but only beings that are capable of independence of a spot. Only those ones can have consciousness. For it is that consciousness that guides it from one place to another.
Thanks very much, Gregory, what you're saying there. I'm getting a picture that it is something to do with life or living. You said being, so a living being. So we have animals and they can move around. You've said that. It has to be independent. A conscious being must be able to move around independently. So an animal, we notice it can do that. And then human beings also can do that. So is consciousness like a living or life? Is some sort of life? When you use the word life, but we know animal is a different to the human, and so on. So, but in a general way, is consciousness associated with some living being? Let's call it living being.
In a step-by-step manner, the answer is correct that you yourself just mentioned, but it is deeper than that.
Right. Okay. And I know this show is meant to be an introductory show to the Grail message, so we can't always go into details. And we encourage people to go and pick up and read the Grail message, study even, let's call it, to get the real deeper understanding. So, yeah. So we won't go into it too much, as I think you're trying to hint here. So that's fine. Okay. Now, it's a funny question in a way to ask at this point, but I will ask it. What is the purpose of intelligence?
Intelligence has its purpose first after gathering the information of its environment to be able to use that information in accordance with the laws of that environment or with the laws of nature or of creation, through which the individual came into existence, or through which that environment came into existence, or through which the contents of that environment came into existence. So there is a framework that, having gathered this information, there is the need to arrange it in accordance. That means to first gather this information, these cognitive objects, and then to take a further step which leads to a recognition. A recognition is merely an opening up such that the individual is able to make gainful use of that it has gathered. Otherwise, why did he need to gather the information if he didn't need to make beneficial use of it?
Thanks again for this explanation and answer there, Gregory. I've received a question from a listener. He's been listening and he's asking, he did not understand very well what is human creativity. He said, you said that the output of a human being is not the same as artificial because it's not created by God. Oh, I don't think we mentioned God in that up to now. Let me just repeat the question, Gregory. So it says, the listener's asking, he doesn't understand very well the human creativity. He said, you said, or I think I said it actually, that the output is of a human being, but it is not the same as artificial because it's not created by God. So I don't know, Gregory, did you follow what that says there?
It is difficult to follow, but one can make a bit of sense out of it. For the expression human creativity, strictly speaking, is not the proper expression, because the human personality does not create anything as such, since the substances or the elements which are put together already exist. If it had to create something by itself, which the elements or the substances, if they did not exist somewhere, then one would talk of creativity. So one may talk of human ingenuity, which only means that the human personality is able to combine those elements, to combine that which already exists, to form something else as a tool. In that case, one talks about human ingenuity. That's what is now a product. So you find that some expressions are used and it doesn't give a very clear picture. One is start thinking anything is possible. No, anything is not possible. Only those things which resonate in accordance with the laws of creation, of nature, only those things one would say are possible. For if the elements were not readily available, then where would he have found the elements from? And it must be stressed that the human personality itself is a product of creation. Therefore, it cannot create a product which product is not in creation. What it may do is to take that which already exists spiritually or non-spiritually, that means here on earth, in the world of matter, join them together in accordance to rules, and if these rules resonate with the laws of creation, then you have, it has formed another, not created another, it has formed another. So you will have, and that is what the sciences try to do. They investigate that which is. And having observed what has happened, they try to, join things here and there. And that's how houses are built. And the tools which we make use of, like the cars, the airplanes, that is what happens. Initially, when you build your airplanes, you use wood. Then they stopped. Wood is already available. They started using iron and aluminium, which is available on Earth. Subsequently, they are now using carbon fiber. Carbon, which is readily available. They rearrange a few things here and there and form composite materials. So it is the human ingenuineness that should be referred to, not human creativity. But as usual, once a word, an expression has been made, people just use it without very clear understanding of what it is.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this picture and clarity you brought to us about this human creativity, which is human ingenuity in reality. So yes, thank you for that. I've got actually some more questions on that, but I will wait a moment before I ask them, because I want to let the listeners know that this is Bless Radio, and it's the spiritual discussion program on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message by Abdushin. And if you wish to know more about the Grail message or want to get a copy of the Grail message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic that we're discussing tonight is artificial intelligence and human creativity. Artificial intelligence and human creativity. 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 00447939641958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting, that is blessradio1, the number 1 there, .com. And if you scroll down on the home page, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. Now, Gregory, I know you said this human creativity, well, there's no such real creativity. It's more combining what is already existing in this world, not only the earthly, but also, you could say, in this creation, if in fact, if we want to look at it properly. But that, when you said that, I thought, oh, that's almost the same as artificial intelligence, except this one is the human being himself or herself acting, not with some tool of the artificial intelligence that is doing the job, but human himself doing the job, or combining things that already exist on this. Well, it could be the earth, it could be from the beyond even, because you can have thoughts and so on, which are combining together to make something. But then I wondered, Gregory, is that really all? Because what about inspiration? People can, let's say you go to sleep overnight, and then, let's say you've been thinking about something, and then the next day, when you wake up, suddenly there's a new, fresh idea, which is not looking from, well, it doesn't appear that you've combined 2 things or 3 things together to come up with it. Something just dropped in your head, if I can say that way, and people call that inspiration. So is that something, inspiration, Gregory, outside of this combining elements of things, because that one is like you're deliberately combining. But inspiration seems to have been received from, beyond you, if I can say like that. So is there another
The,
mode? Yeah, is there this other way of inspiration that we can receive as come up with something, you know?
that which is referred to as inspiration has its roots from, or the roots is being a trigger to a higher perception, and that is of the spirit. Just as you have that the human thoughts can combine that which is readily perceptible in the world of matter, albeit here on earth, because the human thoughts is of, or the roots of the human thoughts is in the human body, say in the intellect. It is also possible that on reflection, using the human thoughts, it has an impact on one's intuition, and it's like it appeals to one's intuition, which has a wider reach. And in that case, there is a reciprocal activity such that a solution is proffered to that which was troubling the individual. That solution, many a time, may be referred to as inspiration. So, in that case, it's not that it came out of nowhere. The source, the trigger, started from the human thoughts. But there are also some other thoughts or some other impressions which come from the spirit through the experiences the spirit is gathering. The key here is to understand what the human personality is. The human personality here on earth has a physical body, which physical body is what it uses to experience. This physical body is of flesh and blood. Attached to this physical body are the five senses. This can easily be verifiable. And attached to this physical body is the frontal brain, which is the seat of our thoughts, of our analysis, and the back brain, which is the place where the human intuitive perception strikes first, which intuitive perception needs to be remolded to be understood aright, such that it is then transformed into thoughts, and subsequently to make it readily available in the world of matter here on earth, it is then made into deeds. So there is the human intuition, then there's our thoughts, and there are deeds. That's which is the seat of the human, intuition, is the human spirit itself. This human spirit is from the realm of the spirit. And in its operations, it sends out a signal to the back brain, which is then passed on to the frontal brain, which is now then exposed as a deed on the earth through the human personality, through the externals of the human personality. At the same time, is able to gather what deeds are, the impressions, these external impressions, is able to pass it back straight through the five senses to the frontal brain, which frontal brain should pass this impression to the back brain and there to the spirit. That is the natural way that the workings of the human spirit that has control of the physical body, that's how it operates. But there are many a time you have that the external impressions are passed on to the frontal brain, and the frontal brain does serious analysis, holds on to it, and does not pass it on to the spirit for maturity. Herein lies a problem. For not passing that information to the spirit that needs it, the spirit becomes immature. It's unable to understand what goes on. If you are having a discussion with someone and you pass information to that person, if that person does not respond to you, you are flabbergasted because you don't know what's happening. If, however, that person responds to you, then at least you have some information which you have to strive to understand. So, in the case where the frontal brain analyzes everything and refuses to pass it on to the back brain, then you have the scenario where the frontal brain will keep expanding its influence to the detriment of the back brain. That is one of the points which many may have to investigate, because that leads to the so-called original sin, which can be investigated thoroughly or examined thoroughly within the walk in the light of truth.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this detailed picture about the working of the humans beings in thoughts, in intuition, via the brain, front brain and frontal brain, the back brain, which probably people are not very aware of. We talk about algorithms in regards to artificial intelligence. Everything seemed very clear, and you can see there's a process there. But then there's, as we have highlighted a lot in our show today, other aspects of human activity. We talk about thoughts. There's also intuition. We know about the five, you could call them earthly senses of smell, touch. I can't even remember them right now, but we know them. There are those five senses. But they're and with AI still there, it's not working in even as it's only working in one angle on that. So, and yet there's much more in terms of human life and activity, and each of them, amazingly, is a process, just like artificial intelligence is a process, and it can be explained And as Gregory has just referred to it, there is a detailed explanation given in the Grail message, in the light of truth, the Grail message by Uprushin. If you want to really find out. So thank you for that. Now, Gregory, this, when the internet came, of course, it also was new and people took a while to get into it, or even mobile phones or whatever. And then suddenly it took over everything in our activity. And now this AI is coming. It looks like it's the same type of thing, but it seems to be going faster than what we have experienced. And then, as I said, people thought, oh, it can do everything, but we have already revealed and clarified that that cannot be, because when you say everything, well, there's things that, what is this everything that people are talking about? Even when you look at this universe, there's so many things we know we can't explain it. So we shouldn't get too carried away just because something incredible is happening. And now we have just in our discussion already, just a few moments ago, talked about intuition and so on, and thoughts. How many people or scientists are looking into that? Are people investigating that? Not really. They're just looking purely material things, ignoring the non-material things, which are even bigger than the material things, if the people really get to understand that. So, but the point is, there are logical processes. Even that inspiration in the dictionary was trying to make out as if inspiration is beyond reasoning, so it means it's not a logical process. But what we have discovered, no. There's a back brain connecting to the frontal brain. Everything, there's a process. Just because you don't see the process or not aware of the process, you can't just start assuming there's not a logical explanation for something. So a lot of limited ignorance, you can say, in our understanding. And then we start, fill the gaps with our own idea rather than really do the research or the search to make sense. Something's happening. Something brought it about. Just because you don't know what brought it about, you don't just now say, oh, it's some inspiration idea without reasoning. So it really shows we are very far away from the reality of these things. Now, Gregory, I'm going back to material world again. So, which is talking about AI now, artificial intelligence. There are new robots and so on being built, like you could call it just technology, and the human beings. It was there before. It's not something new, but people are worried. Oh, this will take away the human jobs. The AI will take over. There will be no work for human beings. There was before Industrial Revolution, and then the computers came. In another revolution, if I can say revolution, and yet we humans still found some job to do. So can this, maybe this AI might be different? Is it possible, Gregory, we could be out of work with this AI? And because there are people worried, because they can definitely do job quicker and better in a way than the human being can do.
Well, there has been no evidence for that yet. Take, for instance, communication. Long time ago, to communicate from one place to another, you needed someone with a camel or a donkey or a horse. And these things have to be scribbled down or is told to someone, and the person then has to travel from one end of the village to the other end, or from one city to the other, or from one country to the other. That is what it was about 500-600 years ago. And as time progresses and people matured and they studied what already existed, this changed. And almost about 100 or more than more than that ago, the idea of telecommunications, in which there were vibrations of materials person in a different part of the world or different part of the city almost instantaneously. So when you look at that, in the past, maybe 100 camel riders with 100 donkeys or 100 horses or maybe 1,000 horses were needed to carry information from one place to the other. Now, with the so-called reality of the day, the needs for the camels, the need for the horses have been put aside. So the jobs which the individuals who were engaged in those things have been put away. It only forced these people to search for other ways. Or would it have been better if the communications as we now know it never came, in which we will still have to use horses to carry messages? Would it have been better if there were no motor cars, in which we only ride horses and donkeys? So these are the questions one should ask oneself. At the advent, like you rightly mentioned, of the so-called computers, it was said it would take out all the jobs and all the things people were doing. They will lose jobs and there will be unemployment. Contrary to that, the advent of the so-called computing produced so many jobs. It only means there must be continuous improvement and no stagnation. So the concept of AI, which is used basically for repetitive jobs, is progress. It is not retrogression. As many people may even wish to think that, okay, fair enough, instead of AI doing a search for me, let me go and do it by myself. So we should have books, libraries somewhere. You go there and spend the whole of your lifetime trying to search for information instead of allowing AI to help you to search for it. It is the same AI which is applied to even these communication systems which we are currently using. Imagine if it were not available. So the human personality must know that there is continuous improvement in issues, and it needs to adjust itself. Of course, the individual can, move away from this progress by first refusing to use communication tools. Number two, refusing to use transport system, refusing to move with the times and go back to the old ages. And when the individual is not well, refusing to use the medications which are available, which can easily be of help. But the free will is there. The individual alone has to decide whether to be or not to be.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this answer and explanations you've given. I've got a listener right now on the phone. So I'm going to put him live to speak. So please, listener, you want to say something? You can say now. Go ahead.
On my own, that's AI, artificial and humanity creativity. I want
Right.
to say something about this, sir.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You can say it.
In my own understanding, my own understanding, AI is artificial intelligence created by man, produced by man.
Yes.
Then human creativity is there's a place that we are talking on the left. Is the output of man, what man. So is it not the same with artificial? Because it is not produced naturally. That's my question.
Right. In fact, I asked something that the listener saying the artificial intelligence is being produced by human beings, and then the human intelligence, or let's say we said human creativity, which we have now called ingenuity, or let's keep it to creativity for now, is created also by man, a human being, in a way, or not created but used. Is human beings are using it. So, but the question is that, but the artificial intelligence is not natural. That's what I think you're saying. But the human activity is natural. Is that what you're saying, listener? Is that what you're saying? Is it natural? The human creativity. Go on. So, which one? Yeah, which one is not natural? Tell me that. So are you saying artificial intelligence is not natural? Is that what you're saying? Is not natural, and the human creativity is natural. Is that what you're saying? Did you hear me?
Yes. Human creativity is also created by a human being.
Yes. So that's
not natural.
It is not natural as well. Okay. So Gregory, I hope you heard it now. He's saying that artificial intelligence is not natural, and neither is the human creativity natural. So if you can respond.
Very simply, you find that it is human ingenuity, because one removed that word creativity and I said it should be replaced by ingenuity, that produced the machete that enable, or the hoe that enables the farmer to go to the farm and produce crops. So the human ingenuity produced a tool to enable it to work effectively. Or do we expect the human ingenuity not to produce tools? It is the human ingenuity that produced vehicles. Or do we expect the human ingenuity not to do anything and to only ride on horses and cows and camels? Because horses are natural, camels are natural, and therefore you should not produce a tool that will enhance. Or because we consider it unnatural, because we have influenced the materials which are available naturally, we have combined them to produce some other thing that will enhance our way of working. The same thing normal. What the human ingenuity has produced is a tool to enhance its operations. That is all. Or do we sweep it aside and say, okay, Whenever we want to do things, we should go back to the old ways and say, oh, it is not natural. The tools which we have produced is to enhance our capability of working. So you will say, people will argue, there's no need to produce bulldozers to make roads. Okay, there is no need to have languages to communicate, because in that particular case, you will find that we were not born with these languages. Which language is what we use for communications? Therefore, since nature did not give us the language straight on, we forming a language which is a tool for communication is wrong. So we leave it aside. The idea that something is not natural because it is a product of the human endeavor, that notion is askew. For we have only taken what is available to us and enhance it so we can make our work easier. Just as we are able to use vehicles, like riding a bicycle, the bicycle didn't just fall from outside of anywhere. We put things together. The cups which we have, we put these things together. The clothes we wear, we put them together. The houses we live in, we put them together. So should we abandon the houses and go back to caves and live there and say only the caves are natural? No. What is happening is that we have chosen the wrong, or we have given the wrong expression to our thoughts. And that is why there is this differentiation. We don't even know what natural means anymore. We've forgotten that we are only producing tools to enhance. Even the language we are using is also a tool. So what do? Push it away? These are the questions which we have to answer.
Thank you, Gregory. I think if I can say something as well, what I'm seeing there, we like we do every show, we look at the meaning of the words in the topic, and then as we do it, we realize, oh, it's not perfect definition in the dictionary. There's more to it. Okay, and so when we now look at this word natural, we think it's natural is something non-human made us, and now we are producing our own, let's say, products or whatever the word is. We are making something now, and automatically, well, let's say the regular word would be artificial. So everything a human being made, strictly, if you want to make a distinction, there's a natural, which is all through nature, and then after the human being, which was made by nature, everything human made is suddenly become artificial. Everything our human made would be artificial, whether we use natural things or not as part of it. And yet, Gregory, you've been pointing out, well, no, because it's not that we actually created something. We used what was already there, which has been produced by nature, and we just, let's say, turned it into combined them to make something else. You could call it new product. Let's call it a new product. You know, even let's say with nature, let's say they have plants, we mix them, forgotten the exact word, not breeding, but forgotten the word for it, cross them, and make a new plant, you can say, a new one, which wasn't there before. And you could say, well, that's not natural. That nature wouldn't have done that. We have done it. So, okay, but we have come from nature. So in one sense, it looks like everything we do should be natural as well, just we are the ones directing what it should be. And then, Gregory, I have a question, because there's something called the laws of nature. We human beings can work with the laws of nature, in harmony with it, and we can also work against the laws of nature. Uh, like, for example, we know plastic. Unfortunately, plastic, we know, doesn't decompose very well, or takes thousands or millions of years even, uh, and unfortunately we make a lot of waste out of it and throw it, which is causing a lot of devastation to the natural world. Oceans and elsewhere, the other living beings are suffering because of our product called plastic. So, Gregory, can we distinguish that? We are making natural things. You could say everything we make is natural, but it's a human-made natural. However, sometimes it is beneficial, and other times it is harmful. But the nature normally we don't think of it as harmful. So can we just try to look in that, Gregory? When we make something, everything we make, what you're saying is like natural too, but unfortunately we seem to be able to make harmful as well as beneficial. Yeah. So, and like in terms of in line with the laws of nature or not in line with the laws of nature. So can we make some distinction there that maybe, and now I'm saying, yeah, maybe you can say something on that.
In accordance with the laws of nature, there are those motions in which the end flows back to the beginning. In that case, when you have the end flowing back to the beginning, there is a breakdown as such in the world of matter of the constituents to its primeval state. That means disintegration. Here, in the case of plastics, man has formed a product in which it takes a much, much longer time for that which he or she has formed and is called plastic, takes a much longer time to disintegrate. That's which we had observed in the past, in which there are simple combinations. These come into existence, and within a very short while, they disintegrate to their primeval substances. Whereas plastic does not disintegrate to its primeval components in the shortest possible time. That is the danger. There are some other areas that human ingenuity is working on, in which something similar to plastic is being developed, but that it disintegrates after a given time. So it becomes a process where you have human personalities making something without looking at the lifespan. They found it quite easy and went ahead without carefully looking at the lifespan. Subsequently, when it was found that, these things don't disintegrate on time, then there's a problem. It doesn't mean that they're not going to disintegrate, but they do not disintegrate on time as according to our expectations. After all, there are elements in nature. All elements that you find in nature, in the world of matter, they have their half-life, and subsequently they disintegrate. All right, from uranium to iron, all these have their half-lives. There are some that are very, very stable, and the half-life could be 1,000,000 years. So also, in the products man has made, put in plastic, it has done it without having considered that these things need to disintegrate in good time. So That doesn't mean it is unnatural. But in accordance with our expectation, we did not anticipate or we didn't put into consideration that the sort of bondings in which you have in plastic, we could do something different such that after a short while, these bonds will break to their initial state. That is being looked into, and there's a lot of progress in that direction. But that does not violate it that what man has done, one has taken the elements from different places.
Thank you, Gregory. Listener is still online. Listener, were you listening to what was said? Can you hear me? Hello? Did you hear what was said? Did you follow that? You did follow. I mean, in summary, if I were to summarize, yeah, go on. Yeah, go. Okay. I just want to quickly summarize what Gregory was saying. For me, it looks like, oh, you're going to go on. You want to say something. Go on. Go on. Just let me put you on loudspeaker. Go ahead.
Idea that I've gotten from the idea that I've gotten from what he said is that some of the some natural materials, like for example, let me use for example, palm fruits, other things that are also joined together. Are you getting me, sir? Are also
Yes.
joined together with the artificial ones to make it. Are also joined together to make it looks. To also make it looks good. It also needs the artificial one. Like in my own understanding, like when someone puts plantain, it's natural, and he cooked it. After cooking it, and he served it to people to eat, it has become artificial.
Right. Okay. But then artificial, is it meaning unnatural? That's the, yeah. Yes.
The idea that I've gotten from what he said is also some natural materials, resources also need artificial man or human creativity.
Yes.
Next, it becomes artificial. It all works together.
Yes. I mean, for me, maybe we should not. Okay. So let's. Artificial in a way is anything man-made. It's automatically man-made. So that's what normally artificial means. But what we are asking is artificial also natural? That's so. From what I understood from Gregory, it is natural because it is using natural resources and producing something new. Just the form of it, you could say there's an inhuman interaction with it to make it what it is. So there's an extra element. Before, the things were not made by humans, or there's still things that are made not by humans. And then now the human being came, it also did something added to it, and it can still do, you could say, natural, but it's different from the before the human was involved. So Gregory, it's like this is a very big question in a way. Somehow, let me just put it on off the mic there. So Greg, what I'm wondering, I'm sure that maybe the listener is also wondering, something the human being does, Gregory, is different from before the human being was involved. So, this earth, human beings didn't make this earth and the seas and mountains and whatnot. But we are now living on this earth, and now we are changing the world in a way according to our wishes, if I can say like that. And the question I think is happening, is it still, can it in a way still be, what we are producing, it doesn't seem to be the same as what was being produced before we human beings came on the scene. So, and the implication is it is not maybe working that it's not like a perfect, or it's not working well, let's say, with the human being interacting. It's
May I come
somehow
in very quickly?
there's a deficiency. So please, if you
Yeah.
can say something on that.
When you have the scenario in which the works of man, if they resonate in accordance with the laws of nature, with the laws of creation, then one would say these products are natural. If, however, these products which man has put forward go against these laws of nature or of creation, then that is not in the sense of the laws of nature. Those become unnatural. Although you may use the elements which are available in nature to accomplish this, but the final product could be such that what has been produced, the radiations that come out of it go against the radiations that are expected in nature. When you look very carefully, here we are, we wear clothes. Or should we not wear clothes? Should we go and cut leaves to cover ourselves? Because when we produce clothes, are these clothes in accordance with the laws of nature, of creation? That's the question we have to answer. At the same time, we speak a language. If the language that we use, which is a tool, resonates such that it brings harmony, it brings progress, in the sense that there is no disharmony in nature, then it is natural. If, however, it brings disharmony, then that is not natural. So the key here must be the production of that which resonates, which is harmonious with the processes in nature. That is what determines whether something is natural or unnatural. For whatever produces disharmony cannot be natural, because only through harmony was the human personality able to come into existence. Only through harmony was the earth and the material universe, only through harmony was it able to come into existence. So here, one must consider harmony with respect to the laws of nature, of creation. That which enhances the benefit of the individuals in nature, of the beings in nature, of the contents in nature, such that it does not destroy itself before then, such that it doesn't produce caricatures. Once you have that product, whether it is the language you speak or a material object you have produced, if it doesn't produce harmony, one will say unnatural, such as you have in music. For when the human personality listens to music and it resonates, he or she is carried much higher, feels much lighter. Whereas there are some form of music, a cacophony of music, which depresses the human personality. That cannot be natural, because that which is natural rises up.
Thank you, Gregory, for this explanation. I think things are becoming much clearer now. Listener, I'm going to leave you now because there's another listener who's been writing a message on the website, and I would like to put those questions. So thank you. I hope you have been able to, how can I say, listen to the answers, and also they were helpful. Okay, so I'm going to move to another listener now. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, then, thank you. Bye. Bye. Okay, Gregory, now I've got this. I didn't realize there were so many questions coming on the. So this is actually from our blessed chat box. The person is saying there are 3 questions I'm going to say. So, and I know our program is coming to the end, but let's do it. They are saying, consider the use of neural link implants in the brain nowadays that assists people experiencing cognitive decline to experience the world better. These are uses of AI now being used in biotechnology. Let me repeat that. That's not the question, though. I think consider the use of neural link implants in the brain nowadays that assist people experiencing cognitive decline to experience the world better. These are uses of AI now being used in biotechnology. Examples of what we call bionic man or humanoid robots. These man-made creations are now being seen in these humanoids performing highly unnatural abilities. Oh, okay. So this is a comment actually. It's not a question. These man-made creations are now being seen in these humanoids performing highly unnatural abilities, e.g., telekinesis, telepathy, or teleportation. So, Gregory, yes, what would you like to say? This is a comment actually. So, what would you like to say to that?
First, one has to have the right understanding of what they mean by teleportation, telekinesis. There are many words which are used nowadays, but which, strictly speaking, are not what many people assume them to be. For if there's that so-called teleportation, and telekinesis, then why are we using phones? People can just not use any of these materials and they can speak to anybody. Just as we had before, that people can transport themselves from one point to another without any vehicle. Of course, people are entitled to their opinions. But the question is that, why is it that those who are capable of doing it, they only talk about it, but they have not demonstrated that they could stay in one position, vanish to another position, right? Say they can, from the earth, go into the sun, to the center of the sun, and come back and tell us all these things. All these things, these are expressions which have been concocted to explain certain notions. But the viability, the consistency of these possibilities, no one really has demonstrated it. So it would be good if these statements can be repeated and the actual experiments can be demonstrated such that all the waste of time we now spend on telephones and things like that, one can sit in one place and broadcast from the earth and it will reach other people. What many are referring to are not, strictly speaking, earthly. Most of the time there is a mixture of concepts which are above the earthly. And in that case, they assume that here on earth they are also applied. That is not the case. Because I've heard of teleportation, telekinesis, There are so many of them. So these are just notions which can really not be substantiated. If they could, let them be published so that people will then try them out.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for that. I mean, yes, telekinesis, telepathy, teleportation, let's say, not established maybe in some cases. And as you said, they're referring to, let's say, communication on a different plane to the earthly plane, or let's say, different level in this world of matter that we are, existing. So, but I will say we really need to understand what exactly these things are before we can just start making commentary on it. The first part of the comment was talking about there's help with people with cognitive decline, where it's sort of some I've forgotten that genetic the word what was it called, they do genetic something changes, genetic modification, isn't it? Where people are using that as a tool to not, I don't know if eliminating diseases and so on, but trying to relieve those diseases and so on. So there's sort of lot of things which are being done in the world to improve. Well, that's what the, let's say, intention is, but I don't want to, we can't really go into it too much right now because of the time is against us, I'm afraid. But yes, you could say some of those things are unnatural, and some of them can be called natural. If the simple thing we discovered when we say natural, if something human made is natural, if it is in accordance with the laws of creation or nature, meaning benefiting us and this world that we exist in, and then, or it is working against the laws of nature, which means it's harming us and our fellow creatures around us. So that's a way to look at these things. Yes, and almost everything has to be examined individually to really say, yes, this is helping or not. And so, yes, I think, Gregory, we come to the end of the show, listeners, as well. So we are not able to continue this. Really, I don't know, we should do another show on it. Let's think about it, and maybe we can do another one on this line, because I can see people have a lot to say, and there's a lot to talk about even. So listeners, I hope, yes, I'm going to just read very briefly, as always, from the Grail message. And this is right at the beginning, and it is it's like a declaration. Free yourself from all darkness. He who makes no effort to grasp the word of the Lord aright burdens himself with guilt. So, dear listeners, if you want to know more about the Grail message, or want to get a copy of the Grail message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And hope you've really enjoyed the discussion tonight. I'm going to ask Gregory, is there anything you'd like to say goodbye to the listeners?
Wishing listeners a beautiful week ahead.
Thank you. Same from me, listeners. Have a beautiful week ahead. We'll be back as usual next Tuesday with hopefully, well, probably not this topic, but something similar maybe, or it's completely different. I don't know yet. Next Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. Take care now. Good night and God bless.